if your goal is to do this. Then keep watching. Hey guys, my name is Zach Ferguson, and this channel is all about helping you guys reach your tricking goals. I may not be the best tricker, but hopefully my experience can help you guys become the best. This is a tutorial for a round kick. There's a version of a round kick in almost every single martial art, but this is going to be a tutorial just specifically for round kicks for tricking. Before I teach you, I just want to say I am no way an authority on kicking, but I kick in tricking. I didn't learn any kicking martial arts when I was coming up, so I had to teach myself through the community of people doing kicks and me watching them do kicks and people explaining how to do kicks. So this is just my personal knowledge and my personal opinion on how to do these kicks. But I want to make sure that I go over all the basics so that this channel is comprehensive for you guys, so that if you're looking for a specific trick, you can figure out how to do it by watching my channel. Round kick is extremely important to learn, and knowing the difference between a round kick and an inside crescent is extremely important to learn, because it could mean the difference between you falling and hurting yourself or doing a proper kick and looking really dope and landing your trick. But you can find round kick in so many different places in tricking. Tornado kick, 540 kick, any cheat 9 or really 9 variation, B-twist round, cork round, full round, anything with round in it, it's everywhere. So the better your basic round kick is, the better these variations are gonna look for you. And this video is not gonna be super long, so I'm not gonna bother with a quick tutorial or anything. Learning a round kick is actually really, really simple, but getting the flexibility and the strength and making it clean takes a long time. So you can always practice your round kick. A round kick is basically a sideways front kick. So if you know how to front kick really well, all you gotta do is pivot and turn, and then you can do your round kick. So let me show you how. I had to shoot the tutorial portion last night, so let's go ahead and get to the tutorial. So the round kick is actually derived from the front kick. So essentially what you want to do for your steps to get to your round kick is to lift into a chamber, focus on pulling down with your toes. So you're flexing your calf muscle and pulling down like this. And then from there, you want to pivot away from your target, which in this case is you guys, with your bottom foot. So if I am lifting here like this, you can use a wall for support, or you can just do it free. And then what you're gonna do is pivot your bottom foot away from your target so that your heel is facing your target. And then essentially what happens is your knee will turn sideways automatically. But what you wanna do is you want to pull backwards a little bit and stretch this open so that your knee is in line with your target. This is what creates this sharp pointed look at the target and then across. If you kick over here too much, it's gonna look like you don't have much flexibility, which you may not. So you can work on this as a stretch. Lift and turn, and then you can kind of pull this leg backwards or grab here and pull backwards like that. But essentially, you're lifting to here, you're pointing your knee at your target with your heel pointed at your target, and then you just point like a front kick. That's it. And then if you're doing it quickly, you're essentially just gonna do 3 steps. So 1, 2, 3. That easy. Making it look clean is the hard part. So focus on pointing your toes, especially at the end. A lot of people tend to do this, and when they kick, they'll flex back with their shins, and that creates that ugly looking round kick. What you want to focus on is turning, pointing. For me, essentially, I just think about pointing at what I'm looking at. So if I want my round kick to look better, I actually will kick up a little bit and look at a target a little higher rather than looking kind of down, because if you look down, then you're gonna kick downwards. But for now, don't kick that high. Kick where your flexibility feels very comfortable. If you can only kick down and you can only go about 45 degrees downwards, then that is okay. Just practice 1, 2, 3, and extend. You should feel it kind of back here. You'll feel pulling with your quads. 1, 2, 3. If you get that down, then round kick is always gonna be easy for you. If you do this straight leg round kick, it's not gonna look very good because you're gonna look like you're swinging your leg around. And then it's just about speeding it up over time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The key is to not skip steps. You wanna make sure that you are doing each step in a row and not going 1, 3. That's what kind of causes this frown kick, as coined by Corey Diamond. He says it's somewhere between a round kick and a front kick, and it makes him frown. So if you go straight from 1 to 3 and you don't do your pivot, then your hip can't turn, and then you're trying to do all the turning with your right leg and none with your left, or vice versa if you go on the other side. And then it creates that upwards 45-degree angle kick, which I can't even really go higher than that. It's just tearing my hip apart. But if you pivot, then you can go a lot higher and have a lot better of a kick. So when you're training this, try to keep your head up as much as possible. 1, 2, 3. It's gonna be really hard and you're gonna feel it a lot in your back, but that is gonna help you for later, especially if you're trying to get it higher. Then what you can do when you're actually performing it is drop your head a little bit, and that'll allow you to get a higher kick. So whenever I'm trying to do a round kick and actually go high, all I have to do is drop my head. My kicks are by far not the greatest, like I said earlier, but you can kind of fake it or make it look better by dropping your head low. Something like this. Spot up, drop your head, round kick. When you're kicking through all the way, it's not a big deal if you leave it out and just step down, but if you are just doing one round kick, what you want to do is round kick and re-chamber back in. Try to keep that knee up. But even if you are stepping back around, I wouldn't recommend just leaving it super out unless you're trying to swing it or something. Try to do like a chamber as you're putting it down. So it's kind of boom, chamber back in, step. So tricking is not a martial art, it's kind of an aesthetic martial art. It's just for performance, but we want to look sharp and we want to look martial when we are kicking, because then it is closest to the source material, right? So if you're trying to do a kick, you don't want it to look like this janky little like hecking crazy crappy kick. You want it to look martial, like you know how to kick, even if you've never kicked anything in your life. So with that being said, instead of starting neutral, start in this 45-degree stance. The reason martial artists do this is because this creates a smaller target for you to kick or punch. So if you are turning like this, then your profile is a little smaller, but you are still able to face your target and you're still able to manipulate your hips and you're not that limited. Whereas if you're turned all the way, then you might be limited because you have to take a step and turn before you do any kind of kick, unless you're just trying to throw like a side kick or a hook kick from the side. What I normally teach my students is just to do everything from this 45-degree stance and kick with the back leg, unless we're just doing like kicks down the floor or something, because when we are tricking, we're gonna be rotating and spinning, and more times than not, you're gonna be in that 45-degree stance as you're spotting, and then you can just turn your hip and round kick or hook kick, depending on what you're doing. So start in that 45-degree stance like this, hands up as if like, yeah, I know martial arts. And then from here, you're just going to point that foot forward at your target, lift your knee at your target, and then from here, you're just extending through your quads. Boop. If you want a good workout, just try to hold that. It's really hard to actually hold this out. Maybe I'm just not strong, maybe I'm just not flexible. Both those things are pretty true. But even a lot of martial artists that don't train kick holds will find it hard because they're using their power to kick their leg out. But just holding it is a whole different ballgame. It's a lot harder. So I would encourage you to train like that, holding your leg out and doing slow motions and trying to keep that toe pointed. Because then when you go fast, it's actually gonna be a lot easier to extend and kick the leg out. But a front kick is just 1, 2, that's it. And then when you translate that to a round kick, it's just 1, 2, 3. Yeah. On to common mistakes. So the first most common mistake that I see most often is not turning your hip over, and specifically not pivoting your foot so that your hip does not turn over. This is what creates this frown kick that I was talking about, where you are trying to kick your round kick, but you can't turn your hip because you didn't pivot the bottom foot, and you're kicking upwards at a 45 degree or even just doing a front kick. There are times in certain tricks, like for example a tornado kick, where it may be better to just kick as high as you can because it'll look cooler. But if you're trying to do something like a vanish, then a lot of times doing a proper round kick with a good hip turnover helps you step into that vanish a lot easier. Just make sure that you do that 1, 2, 3 step where you lift, you pivot the bottom foot before you kick, because otherwise you're going to be stuck and you'll probably hurt your hips when you're trying to do this kick. The next common mistake I see the most is trying to kick up rather than out. So what I mean by that is that you are not fully extending your leg when you are kicking. So a lot of times people will try to kick too high for their flexibility, and this creates this kind of folded look with their hips, so their butt kind of sticks out backwards and then their leg kind of goes high, but it's a lot more shallow of an angle. Basically your kick is going up more than you physically are able to do with full extension, and so it doesn't look very good. So personally, I think that if you fully extend your leg and you keep your toes pointed sharp, then even if it is a little bit lower, it'll look a lot better than if you did a bad form kick but you were kicking a little bit higher. And then when you start introducing inversion, this will actually make your kicks look better, because when you're upside down, a lot of times you can just do whatever you want with the opposite leg. So if I'm round kicking with my right leg, I can kind of tuck in my left, and then I can kick as high as I want, and then I will have the muscle memory of fully extending all the time, so then the kick will look a lot better. That's why my kicks look better when I'm doing a trick or I'm airborne rather than when I'm based on the ground, because on the ground, it takes a lot more flexibility than in the air. If you don't turn your hip over all the way, you could be doing an inside crescent, you could be doing a frown kick, you could be doing all kinds of different kinds of kicks and injuring yourself rather than just doing a proper round kick. Next common mistake I see is trying to kick too early. So basically, if you guys are my target, I want to round kick right next to you guys and then bring it across. If I round kick too early over here and then I try to bring it all the way across, I'll probably lose my balance by the time I reach my target. So if I was like kicking something, for example, I would kick over here and then I'd be out of momentum or strength by the time I hit my actual target, and I'd probably just fall back the way I came from because I'd have no power. This was a tip that Eduardo actually gave me. He said to kick next to your target and then release your kick for rounds and hooks. So you're pointing your knee, your chambering knee at your target, and then you just pivot and round kick. So you want it to be like right next to your target, and then you can leave it out on the tail end of it, because then it'll look more aesthetic. Or if you want to chamber it in really quick, it depends on what you're going for. But it's better to leave it out over here on this side of your target rather than leaving it out here on this side of your target. So kick next to your target and then across, not early and then down when it reaches the target. And then the last most common mistake that I see is not pointing your toes. So in some kicks, I am guilty of this. A lot of times if I'm doing like a backside 9 or a cheat 9 or something, I will think that I pointed my toes and then I look back at the footage and I didn't. I'm like, So if the way your kicks look is important to you, make sure that you are flexing your calf muscles so that you have a strong point. And then when you're going for that kick, as long as you know that your calf is flexed, then you know that your toes are pointed. But that's about it. Round kick is a very simple movement, but a very, very important movement that you guys definitely want to get down so that your tricks look better overall. I hope that helped you get or improve your round kick. If this video did help you, please leave a like on the video. Please leave a comment down below and let me know if this helped you or if there's anything else you want to see from me. Please subscribe to my channel so that you can help me on my quest to 1,000 subs. And until next time, please stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you guys later.